The morning light spills softly through the curtains. A gentle tune hums in the background, calm and steady. You take a deep breath, feeling the quiet rhythm of your body. The world outside moves fast, but this moment is yours. It's not about age or time, or the years gone by. It's about how your body still listens when you move with care. Maybe you felt that pull behind your knees, that tightness when you reach for your toes. It whispers, slow down, you're not as young as before. But what if that whisper isn't a warning, but an invitation? An invitation to rediscover movement, to stretch gently and remind your muscles they're still alive. Today, we begin a small journey, a story of motion, breath, and quiet strength. We'll explore the simple knee-to-toe bend, not to chase youth, but to feel free again, to stand taller, to move easier, to wake the body that still remembers how to dance. So take another deep breath, feel your feet on the ground, and let's begin slowly together. Mrs. Lynn sits by the window, watching the garden sway in the soft morning breeze. Her favorite flowers bloom, but she no longer kneels beside them as she used to. The earth feels distant now, far below her reach. She sighs, lifting her cup of tea, her hands trembling slightly. Her legs ache more each day, the back of her knees stiff like strings pulled too tight. Once she could bend and dig, plant and prune for hours without a thought. Now, even reaching for a dropped spoon feels like a mountain to climb. She tells herself it's age. Everyone slows down eventually, right? That's what she hears from neighbors, from friends, even from her doctor. Still, she misses that freedom. The feeling of strength, of balance, of control. When she stands up now, she moves carefully, holding onto the edge of the table. Her grandson, Leo, notices. He's 8, bright-eyed and curious. "Grandma," he says one morning, "why don't you come play in the yard anymore?" She smiles, hiding her stiffness behind a soft laugh. "My legs are tired, sweetie. They don't bend like they used to." Leo frowns, thinking. Then he says, "Dad told me movement keeps you young. Want me to show you something?" She chuckles, amused. "What could you possibly show me about moving, little one?" He stands tall, his small feet planted firmly on the rug. "Watch this," he says proudly. He bends his knees, slowly reaching toward his toes. He doesn't touch them all the way, but he giggles and tries again. Mrs. Lynn watches, curious now. Her grandson's movements are clumsy, but full of energy and ease. "See," he says, "it's called bending like a tree. You go down, then back up." She laughs, the sound light and warm. "Bending like a tree, huh? I think my tree's too old for that." But Leo shakes his head. "No tree is too old to bend, Grandma. You just need to start slow." His words stay with her, long after he runs outside to play. That night, she stands in front of her mirror, thinking. The reflection looking back feels both familiar and strange. The woman who once walked miles now hesitates to climb the stairs. Still, something about Leo's voice echoes in her heart. No tree is too old to bend. She places her hands on her hips and takes a slow breath. Her knees creak a little as she lowers herself. Not far, just enough to feel her muscles wake. A small stretch, a hint of warmth. She rises again, slowly, steadying herself. Her heart beats faster, but not from fear, from curiosity. Could something so small really make a difference? She tries again, a little deeper this time. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. For the first time in years, she feels her body listening. A quiet whisper inside says, "Yes, I remember this." She smiles softly, resting her hands on her knees. Outside, the garden waits patiently for her return. And in that moment, Mrs. Lynn decides, tomorrow she'll try again. One bend, one breath, one small step toward freedom. The next morning, the sun slips through the curtains, soft and golden. Mrs. Lin wakes early, her body still a little heavy with sleep. She remembers the small promise she made to herself last night. Just one bend, just one gentle try. She moves the chair aside and stands barefoot on the cool floor. The house is quiet except for the ticking of the clock. She takes a deep breath, steady and calm. Her knees feel stiff like rusty hinges, but she smiles anyway. Her grandson's voice still echoes in her mind. No tree is too old to bend. She lowers herself carefully, bending her knees, feeling the pull behind her thighs. It's sharp at first, unfamiliar, almost like the body arguing back. But then slowly it softens. Her muscles, once silent, begin to whisper awake. She straightens again, breathing deeply, feeling her balance return. It's a small movement, but it feels like a victory. She doesn't know it yet, but she's waking her hamstrings from a long, gentle sleep. Those muscles behind her thighs, quiet guardians of every step, every stretch. They've carried her for decades, upstairs, through markets, across gardens. Now they ask for kindness, for attention. The narrator's voice flows softly through her thoughts. When we sit too long, our hamstrings tighten, shortening like cords pulled too hard. They make bending difficult, walking slower, standing painful. But when we move them again, gently, patiently, they begin to lengthen. Like fabric unfolding, like the morning light spreading across the floor. Mrs. Lin bends once more, this time a little deeper. She feels the stretch run down to her calves, warm and steady. She remembers how it used to feel to kneel in her garden, to dig into the earth. Her breath deepens, her heart feels lighter. She's not just stretching muscles, she's waking memories. Each movement brings a small piece of her back. The body remembers, even when the mind forgets. She pauses, resting her hands on her thighs, feeling her heartbeat slow. Her reflection in the window shows a woman rediscovering herself. Not trying to be young again, but simply alive, present, aware. She whispers softly, "Thank you, Leo." Outside, a bird sings, as if answering her. She imagines her hamstrings as strings of music, loosening to play again. The pain is still there, but it feels different now, gentler, purposeful. She moves slowly, rhythmically, bending and rising. Each repetition feels like a conversation between body and breath. Her knees no longer tremble. Her back no longer stiffens in fear. She feels grounded, strong, connected. For the first time in years, her movement feels graceful. It's not about touching her toes, it's about touching her own courage. When she finally sits down, she feels warmth spreading through her legs. It's not exhaustion, it's awakening. The old belief that age means stillness begins to fade. In its place grows a quiet truth. Movement is life, and life is movement. And Mrs. Lin, smiling softly to herself, is ready to begin again tomorrow. Days pass gently, like pages turning in a quiet book. Mrs. Lin continues her small morning ritual. Each sunrise brings another chance to move, to listen, to learn. The floor feels less cold now, her balance steadier. Her knees still creak, but the sound no longer frightens her. It's just her body speaking, a language she's learning to understand again. She bends slowly, her fingers drifting closer to her toes. Not far yet, but farther than before. She feels the stretch travel up her legs like a soft current. Her breathing syncs with the motion, down, inhale, up, exhale. It becomes a rhythm, a song of patience. As she moves, she begins to wonder. What exactly are these hamstrings she keeps awakening? She's heard the word before, from doctors, from fitness shows on TV. But now she wants to know them like friends, not strangers. She imagines them as long, silent bands running down the back of her thighs. Hidden strong, yet easily forgotten. They bend her knees, help her walk, climb, and stand tall. They are the quiet supporters behind every step she's ever taken. For years, they've been overworked and underloved. Sitting too long made them short and stubborn. Neglect turned flexibility into resistance. But with each gentle bend, they begin to trust her again. They respond, stretching a little further, breathing a little deeper. Her body feels lighter, as if something old is loosening its grip. She realizes it's not pain she's been feeling all these years, it's tightness. A quiet reminder that her body has been waiting for her return. She smiles, closing her eyes, picturing her muscles like soft ribbons untangling. She whispers to herself, "You're not weak, you're just waking up." The thought warms her more than the sunlight ever could. Each morning now feels like a small ceremony. The world outside remains the same: traffic, voices, wind. But inside her, change is happening slowly and beautifully. Her hamstrings lengthen. Her back loosens. Her breath deepens. Even her mind feels quieter. She starts to notice how everything is connected. Her tight legs once made her back ache. Her stiff hips made her steps smaller. Now, as one part releases, the others follow like a chain of calm. Movement isn't just about the body, it's a dialogue with life itself. She bends once more, her fingertips almost brushing the floor. It surprises her, and she laughs softly. It's not the laughter of pride, but of discovery. She never thought something so simple could feel so powerful. In this small act, she feels her age and her strength coexist. She feels timeless, even if just for a moment. The body, she thinks, never forgets kindness. It waits patiently for it. When she finishes, she sits quietly by the window. Her legs hum with gentle warmth. Her heart feels open. And for the first time in years, Mrs. Lynn feels completely, wonderfully alive. 2 weeks pass, and the mornings begin to feel different. The stiffness that once clung to Mrs. Lynn's body has started to fade. Her movements are smoother, her steps lighter, her breath deeper. She doesn't rush, but she doesn't hesitate either. Each bend now feels like a quiet dance between her body and her will. The air in her living room carries a sense of calm purpose. She bends, exhales, rises, and smiles. Her fingertips brush closer to her toes, and a small joy blooms inside her. The simple motion that once frightened her now feels like freedom. Her body no longer resists, it responds. Every stretch whispers, "You can still move. You can still grow." She feels proud, not of perfection but of persistence. Some mornings she even hums as she moves, a soft tune from her childhood. It reminds her of her mother tending the garden, strong and graceful. Mrs. Lynn can feel that same quiet strength returning in herself. The hamstrings that once screamed for rest now hum with life. Her back feels lighter, her knees steadier, her confidence brighter. She begins to carry herself differently, shoulders open, eyes lifted. The small act of bending has rippled into every part of her day. When she reaches for something on a low shelf, she no longer fears the pull. When she walks up the stairs, her legs support her with ease. Even her sleep feels deeper, her mornings gentler. Leo notices the change first. "Grandma, you move faster now," he says with a grin. She laughs, pretending to flex her arm. "Well, maybe I'm getting stronger than you." He giggles and asks to see her tree bend again. Together they stand side by side, bending their knees, reaching down slowly. He giggles when he loses balance, and she steadies him with a soft hand. Their laughter fills the room like sunlight through glass. It's not exercise anymore, it's connection. Movement becomes play. Breath becomes peace. The gap between generations disappears in that shared rhythm. Mrs. Lynn realizes this small ritual isn't just changing her body. It's changing her spirit. The fear that once held her back, fear of pain, of age, of fragility, begins to melt. She no longer moves to avoid stiffness. She moves to celebrate life. The body she once doubted now feels like a friend she's learning to trust again. When she bends, she feels her heart bend too, toward gratitude. For her health, for her grandson, for this new chance to begin again. As the morning light glows warmer, she sits by the window to rest. The garden outside waves gently in the breeze, as if cheering her on. She whispers to herself, "It's not about how far I go, but that I keep going." Her hands rest on her knees, her breath slow and calm. And as the day begins, Mrs. Lynn feels a quiet truth rise inside her. She isn't just moving her body anymore. She's moving her life forward, one bend at a time. One quiet afternoon, Mrs. Lynn sits in her garden again. The same place that once felt far away now welcomes her with open arms. She kneels gently beside the flower beds, her knees steady, her breath calm. The earth feels cool under her palms, familiar and kind. It's been a month since she began her morning bends. Her body, once tense and unsure, now moves with quiet confidence. She can feel her muscles working together like a well-rehearsed song. Each motion smooth, each breath a steady note in her rhythm. She smiles, remembering how hard it once was to reach this spot. What once felt impossible now feels natural. Her hamstrings no longer resist when she bends. Instead, they stretch and flow, strong yet flexible. She can feel the change, not only in her legs, but in her spirit. There's a new kind of strength, soft, patient, enduring. The science, she thinks, must be true. She's read that gentle movement increases blood flow, nourishes muscle, and strengthens joints. She doesn't need to understand it all. She can feel it working through her bones, her breath, her heart. Her balance has improved. Her energy lasts longer through the day. Even her sleep feels lighter, her dreams more peaceful. When she rises from the ground, she does it slowly but without fear. No sharp pain, no trembling knees, just smooth motion and quiet pride. The body, she realizes, rewards kindness with renewal. She wipes her hands on her apron and looks around the garden. The flowers seem brighter, the air cleaner, the colors sharper. She wonders if the world has changed, or if she has simply begun to see it again. Every small movement she makes now carries meaning. She stretches when she wakes. She walks after meals. She bends when she waters her plants. Each action is part of her new story, a story of rediscovered motion. Later that day, her neighbor, Mrs. Wang, passes by the gate. "You look strong these days," she says with a teasing smile. Mrs. Lin laughs softly, brushing soil from her hands. "I've been bending with the trees," she replies, half joking. Mrs. Wang tilts her head, curious. "Bending with the trees?" Mrs. Lin nods. "It keeps me young, it keeps me moving." Her neighbor laughs, but there's warmth in her eyes. That night, Mrs. Lin writes in her small journal. She notes how 5 minutes of movement can shift an entire day. How one breath of courage can open the door to freedom. Her handwriting is slow but steady, each word filled with quiet certainty. She writes, "Movement heals, stillness stiffens, I choose to move." When she closes the book, she feels a pulse of gratitude in her chest. Her journey began with one hesitant bend, guided by a child's wisdom. Now it has grown into a ritual of strength, a lesson of life. She looks out the window, watching the moonlight fall across her garden. And she whispers, "The science is simple, the secret is care." Then she smiles, knowing tomorrow she will bend again. Sunday morning arrives with golden light spilling over the rooftops. Mrs. Lin ties her scarf and steps outside, her heart light with anticipation. She walks toward the small park at the end of the street, where laughter drifts through the air. A group of neighbors has begun gathering there each week, just to move together. It started with Mrs. Wang, who asked Mrs. Lynn about her tree-bending secret. Then a few more joined, old friends, quiet couples, even a retired teacher. Now they meet every Sunday, stretching under the wide, gentle sky. Mrs. Lynn leads them, her voice calm, her movements slow and clear. She never planned to be a teacher, but her story simply grew into one. They stand in a circle, feet steady on the grass, faces warmed by sunlight. The city noise fades behind them, replaced by the rhythm of breath and birds. "Let's begin," she says softly, raising her arms like branches. Together they bend their knees, reaching toward their toes. Some wobble, some giggle, but everyone tries. No one compares, no one competes. They move at their own pace, guided by patience and kindness. Mrs. Lynn watches them and feels a spark of joy bloom in her chest. Every stretch carries a story of courage, of healing, of hope. She remembers her first hesitant bend, the fear, the stiffness, the doubt. Now she watches others take their first steps and sees herself in each one. When they rise, smiling and breathless, she claps softly. "Beautiful," she says. "You're all moving like young trees." Laughter follows, gentle and full of life. They rest on benches afterward, sharing tea and small stories. One man says his back pain has eased since joining. Another woman says she sleeps better at night. Each one has found a piece of themselves in the movement. Mrs. Lynn listens, her heart full. She realizes this simple act has grown into something much larger. It's not just about flexibility anymore. It's about community, connection, belonging. They have built a circle of strength, woven together by motion and care. When the session ends, Mrs. Lynn stays behind a little longer. She looks around the park, the sunlight shimmering through the leaves. The air feels alive, filled with gratitude and laughter. She kneels tying her shoe and feels no pain, no hesitation. Her hamstrings stretch easily, her balance steady. She rises smoothly, her heart warm with quiet pride. A thought crosses her mind like a soft whisper. Movement isn't just something the body does. It's something the soul remembers. Each bend, each breath, connects her to the present moment, to the earth beneath her feet, to the people beside her, to herself. She takes one last deep breath, the kind that fills her whole being. Around her, the world feels open and full of light. She smiles, whispering to the wind, "No tree is too old to bend." Then she walks home slowly, every step a quiet celebration of life. The garden waits, the flowers sway, and her story continues. One bend, one breath, one beautiful Sunday at a time. The evening settles softly over the garden. Golden light fades into a calm silver glow. Mrs. Lynn stands by the window, watching the petals sway in the breeze. Her legs feel steady, her body light, her breath slow and peaceful. She thinks about how far she's come, from stiffness to strength, from fear to flow. It began with one small bend, one curious moment of courage. Now, movement has become her quiet companion. She no longer counts the years by what she's lost, but by what she's regained. Each stretch, each breath, reminds her that time can be gentle. That healing doesn't rush, it blooms like a garden in spring. Outside, the wind whispers through the trees, bending them gracefully. She smiles, whispering back, "I understand now." Because movement isn't about chasing youth. It's about honoring the body that carries your story. She closes her eyes, hands resting softly on her knees. Her heart feels light, her spirit steady. The day fades, but her energy glows quietly within. Tomorrow will come, and she will bend again. One breath, one motion, one beautiful dance with life.